Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to draw a jumping spider. A jumping spider is one of the most fascinating creatures because it is very intelligent but very small, and in this video I'm going to show you how to draw one. So here the key is the main body. This is a very easy animal to draw because it has a very normal and kind of easy shape. It is basically a rectangle for a body that is going to be slightly elongated. So how I am making it, so it is getting extended to downwards. This is going to be the mouthpiece, and it is going to be from the front perspective. So it goes like this. This part will be covered by its mouth mandible feet. So it has like things that are small arms basically that it uses to put food in its mouth, like all the spiders have. So the key part here now is going to be having the eyes. When you put two lines dividing the main body, you are going to need to put 4 eyes. The 2 ones are going to be the main eyes, and 2 ones are going to be the side eyes. So here they look like headlights. Making sure to have nice spherical eyes and not ovals. And the main eyes are going to be slightly bigger, like this. So it already has the main jumping spider outline. So jumping spiders can have odd coloring, but mostly the colors that they have are muted. They're usually striped. And so here I'm going to be erasing this part to give it the mandible feet. Basically it has feet to help bring food to its mouth and keep the food there. So the key part of this is the mandible feet are fluffier after the knuckle, so after the elbow, I would say. So it starts off thin here of the elbows, and then it gets wider. So it's like this. This is an important part. We are going to give this creature a lot of hairs because this spider is covered in all kinds of small hairs, actually. And it's one of its defining features. This thing, by the way, is small. It's like smaller than a coin, actually. But it is a very good hunter. And people who have this as pets, believe it or not, you can have this as a pet. And they say this is one of the most intelligent pets that you can get. So let's move it more like this. Yeah. And now we are going to give it the feet. So this is a spider, which means when you're looking at it, it's going to have, like every spider has a lot of feet. I believe spiders had 8 feet, but I'm not sure. I'm a big fan of spiders, but I've never really given attention to that detail. So here we have the basic feet structure. What you will have is the feet have, the legs, I would say, have 3 components. A long stem that start like around this mandible. So you are going to have a meaty but still not too thick leg stem. It's going to be going like this. And then you are going to be having another leg stem. Again, it is long and it is going to be kind of thick. The legs are hairy. This spider is very hairy, so to say. So now we are going to bend the leg. Since this is a spider, the midsection is as long as the stem of the leg for this spider. Actually, it can be a little shorter, but that's not really a detail that most people are going to pay attention to. And now you are going to give it this little dimple and put the front of the leg. So here a little dimple and the front of the leg. Now, since this has more feet, of course, you need to do this a few times more. But that's the fun of it. That's the fun of appreciating the beauty of a spider. So here, I'm going to give it the usual dimple, and the spider foot is ready to go. And here, I'm going to give it the usual dimple for each little joint that this has. And soon enough, we need to give it the final one so that it can have its foot. This feet on the side are a little too thin, so let me give them a little more girth, a little more meat. Yeah, this looks pretty okay. Now we go to the back feet, the back legs. They are still not too hard to draw, I would say. You give it a small dimple again. And yeah, the final one, before we start giving it the signature hairs. So here we made a small mistake, but we are going to keep the spirit of Bob Ross and say that was a happy mistake to help us readjust the proportions of the leg. We are elongating the leg a bit and bending it, because this is a spider, it has very bendy legs. And we are going to correct this issue because we forgot an entire leg joint. Or did we? I'm not sure if we did, but let me correct the perspective anyway. Yeah, this looks pretty okay. Now what we are going to do is we need to give it pretty much, so this is for perspective for the back legs, I would say. I'm giving it a little bit more leg joints on underside. And now we are going to give it the filling for the eyes, but leaving a small bit of white like a crescent at the top so that the eyes are shiny. Because this animal has shiny eyes. And it's one of the things that when pictures are taken of this up close makes it look actually adorable. This is why this animal is a big favorite among people who like spiders, because there's other spiders who have much more interesting sizes, interesting patterns, but this one, apart from being very smart and small, is also kind of adorable. I heard that they can recognize their owners, which is crazy for something the size of a coin. And they can also strategize to hunt other bugs. So that is pretty cool for an animal this size. But again, then we have ants that are actually farming using aphids or small bugs that eat the sap of the leaves of plants. They're taking leaves of plants, they're making mold, and they're harvesting the mold. They basically have agriculture, which is crazy. So a big shout out to ants. They're bad if you have them at home, but amazing if you just have the chance to observe them doing their thing in nature. Yeah, so we have. Now it is time to start giving it the iconic hairs. But before we give it the iconic hairs, we need to consider one thing, and that is giving it its signature stripes. So where do the stripes actually go? It goes in the small, I would say, joints, starting from the mandible. So just here, before we add all the hairy texture, we are giving it the look that it should have. Giving it some small details so that it looks like a jumping spider more. And giving it the little mittens, the little feet that it has. Again, to put food inside its mouth. It grabs and puts food like that. And now the other stripe, basically, like this. And now the time comes to put stripes on its legs. So one thing is, it usually has random stripes, so you can't really say the stripes have to be here or there, which gives us more freedom. But one thing is, usually the tips of the feet are darker colored. Whichever color it has, the feet have a darker color. So we start with the feet, giving it kind of socks. So here we are giving it the socks. And now the time is to give it the little line that separates the mandible and the main layer of the animal, like this, from the head, like the eye region. This is a defining feature of this. And now we are going to keep giving it better features by now giving it the stripes. So you don't have to give it stripes. This animal can also be just brown. But then, since we are drawing monochrome, it's going to be too barren and without details. And giving stripes is actually relaxing in a way. So that's what I am going to do. I'm giving it stripes. And see how easy it is? Since there is no true pattern to follow, apart from the feet being darker colored at the tips, you can basically just relax and let your eyes do their thing and enjoy the guidance of your instincts and have fun. This is something I care about a lot. I've tried YouTube many times before, but this is the first time I'm actually enjoying making any kind of content, because now I'm not motivated for anything other than this art being for its own sake, which makes it fun, because there's no other considerations going in. I'm just drawing stuff that I like and giving you a glimpse on how I do it while chatting about stuff. So here you see the most important feet and legs, the front ones, are already done. And this is something I also like about this animal, is that it is kind of very aesthetically pleasing. So let's give it some patterning here, and maybe give it some patterning also about here. So let's give it a stripe to make it stand out even more. And now we are going to keep giving it the stripes. One thing about jumping spiders is how remarkable of a hunter they are. They're as efficient as praying mantises, but they are much more smart. And they actually have personalities, I hear from people who raise them. Believe it or not, people like raising these very, very small things. How small? Like, they are so small that when you put them on a coin, they can rest on it like a frog on a lily pad. They are really small. Like, this is very unlike the spider that you think of when you say spider, like a tarantula or a long-legged house spider, barn spider and such. But small spiders do exist, and small spiders are actually one of my favorites because they eat small bugs that are annoying and usually pests without being too scary because of their size. And since they're small, they also tend to be, rightfully so, very easily scared. And so if you are not really a big fan of spiders, unlike me, you may enjoy the fact that the spider fears you as well. The spider has more reason to. The spiders are usually very small. Even if the spider is big and territorial and angry, it is still kind of has its reasons to be scared of a human that is mostly orders of magnitude larger than. So this is the main spider. The legs, as you can see, kind of blended into each other. So what we are going to do is we are going to strengthen the outline before we give it the important part, the hairs. And already, because we have it very fuzzy from my drawing style, it's going to be pretty easy, but still, it is always good to be meticulous about your drawings. It shows that you care. And so, we are giving it a nice outline, darkening. This is going to help flesh out the details. Don't really care here about being fuzzy because this is a very hairy animal and it's going to be getting a lot more fuzz anyway. So, keeping on with giving it the detail it deserves, one of my favorite animals. They are also pretty friendly. They swing from side to side when they kind of feel, I believe, in danger. They're swinging rapidly from one side to the other so that you kind of get a warning saying like, okay, I don't know what you're up to, please stay away, says the spider. And I have never actually encountered these in the wild. I wish I would. I would probably take close-up pictures of it. But at the same time, whenever I encounter any wildlife, this includes all kinds of insects and bugs and bees and stuff, I kind of think to myself, maybe I should leave it alone. Because animals are rightfully not really keen on other animals getting too close, and I don't want to stress them out. And these things, being as intelligent as they are, can actually feel stress, which I don't want to give them. They should live their little spider life the way a little spider should live them without thinking about any human interaction too much. But they're also very curious. So when people who raise them post videos about them, when you bring up a new object, because they have very high definition vision because of their eyes, they walk up to it and start to inspect it. So as you can see, the spider now is done what we are going to do is we are going to give it a lot of hairs. So what happens is the hairs are mostly around the legs, the mouth legs and the stuff, and the top of its head. So these hairs are especially a little bit like whiskers around the edges of its head. So let's give it these. And then you can go ham with random hairs. Just random hairing. Like that. And keep giving it hairs like this. Now, the hairs get smaller around the sides, but we are going to give it a lot of hairs after this elbow on its mandible. There are very long hairs around that to fill its food. It is functional, I would say. So let's give it, to not obscure any details, we are going to focus on the texture of the hairs and not the density. So it's going to have stripes of hairs, but not too many of them, to not cover the little thing that we made with the stripes. Just giving it a little texture with the hairs. See, it's not really changing much, but it's still giving it some texture. So what we are going to do is, now we are going to give it the leg hairs. And the leg hairs are also funny because they are mostly centered around the front of the legs. And the fluffy hairs usually have longer hairs sticking out from in between, but not too much. So just go random with it. Giving it the hairs on its legs seems a lot more easier because there is the outline that we made, and anything outside of it is white space. So they are very visible, just like the head hairs we gave it. Just going like this. And giving it all the hairs that it would have normally if it was a real spider photograph. It is nearly done, you see. We are giving it all the hairs that it has, or would have. Now the final touches with the hairs on this leg. And let's see if we have forgot. Yeah, we have forgot the hair texture that is around its mouth. Just give it stripes. Doesn't have to be too accurate, just needs to be realistic. And there we go. This is a jumping spider. We have basically made a realistic jumping spider. And if you like my videos, please subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. And stay tuned for more videos like this.